Welcome, everyone. I'm Tealee,
And I'm Dami.
and this is the Lucrative Africa podcast.
This podcast features flourishing African creatives who share our vision to keep artists and creators across the continent informed about how to tap into the lucrative potential of their work.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope the podcast leaves you feeling informed, refreshed, and ready to make the most out of your creative talent. Let's get right into it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lucrative Africa's first episode, or more like an intro episode. So today we'll be talking about ourselves, who we are, the people who started this podcast or who are starting this podcast. And we'll also be telling you a bit about Lucrative Africa and why we started it and what it's all about. And then we'll also go into, what you can expect from the podcast episodes we'll be releasing and just from Lucrative Africa in general. And so, delving right into it, we'll start by introducing ourselves. So, since I'm already speaking, I guess I can go first. So my name is Dami Lola, but you can just call me Dami. And with me here, I have Tealee Brown. So I'll hand over.
Hi.
Yeah, and I'll hand over the mic to Tilly. But let me just, tell you a bit more about who I am. So I'm a lettering artist and designer, and but on the more corporate side of things, I can also say I'm a communications professional. But I'm someone who, I'm just really passionate about design and also creative entrepreneurship, and that's one of the things that inspired me to, go reach out to Tilly and start this thing. And yeah, that's a bit about who I am. And I'm also Nigerian, by the way. I needed to add that one. And yeah, I think I can give the mic over to
I'm
Tilly.
here. Um, Thank you for kicking us off. Dami already shared my name. I'm Tealee. My full name is Tealee A. Brown. I always say my full name. I don't know why. When I write my name, I also always write my full name. It's just a thing. Yeah. So I am from Liberia, West Africa. I'm a writer, and I currently run a monthly newsletter. It's called The Tea with Tea. And honestly, the newsletter is just making me realize how great I am at oversharing. I'm superb. I kill it every time. Outside of writing, I do this and that. It's just long to explain, so I'll just leave it at that. I am passionate about life, love, art, and creativity. And I'm super thrilled to be here with Dami. And I'm really looking forward to these conversations because I believe that we could really unravel some learnings that could add some great value to our target audience. So yeah, thanks, Dami.
Thank you. And I'm also thrilled to be here with you, of course, hosting this. And yeah, I think we can also give our audience a little disclaimer that this is, at least for me, this is my first time hosting a podcast. So yeah,
Same.
it's same
Also
same.
for me, Dami.
So same with Tilly, and yeah, just a disclaimer. You can do whatever you want to do with that disclaimer, but we're just we're just telling you we're just telling you that.
Please, yeah. That's
And
important.
yeah, we hope that Tilly, we're also hoping that you come and overshare here as well too. So
If I start, who will stop me? Like I wouldn't stop. So let me just I'm trying to rule it in, but I'm sure we'll get there. Once I get comfortable here, I'll just start oversharing.
we'll make you comfortable. No worries. But yeah, so that's a bit about who we are, and yeah, when Tilly just talked about her newsletter, I forgot to also I supposed to also advertise my own work too small. So yeah, I do I do Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I do lettering, which is basically the art of drawing letters, and I do a lot of design work related to that, branding, anything related to typography and all of that. And you can find my work on Instagram at designed dot by dot dami. So that's yeah, that's my username. So I'm advertising myself. Tilly, where can we find your newsletter?
Oh, I guess I'm on Instagram at the T with T underscore.
The T with T. Just see. That's bars like T with T.
Yeah, it's bars. And I have a little website that's under construction. It's just tealeebrown.com as well, if you're interested in
Hmm.
checking that out.
Yeah, yeah. I have checked it out. It's nice. So you must check it out wherever is listening. So yeah,
Yes,
the
thank
T
you,
with T on
Dami.
Instagram and Tilly brown.com. So yeah, now let's go into the second thing on our item of the day, or second item on our list. Lucrative Africa. What brought you here in the first place? Why you're listening to this podcast, to this episode, I mean. So um Lucrative Africa is something that we started, or we are starting, because of our individual and collective passion to help other African creatives. So we noticed a gap in the knowledge online about the business side of our work, or of our creative work, and we decided to try and fill in that gap with this podcast. So we discovered that a lot of African creatives know their craft. They know their craft deeply, but when it comes to the business side of things, a lot of us struggle. And this is something that's also something we have experienced personally. So it's not something that we're just seeing other people experience. It's one of the things that drove us to start this. I realized how long and it took me to really understand basic things when it comes to business. And for most of us, when we start our creative businesses, or when we decide to monetize these things, we're usually pivoting from these things being like hobbies or something we just do leisurely to becoming a business. And sometimes, there are some things we have to learn about business that we do not know. And when we run our businesses like hobbies, yeah, some things will definitely not go as they should. So thus, that was one of the things that inspired us to start this. So I mean, Tilly, you can also add on to this if there's something that I did not bring up.
Yeah. So I would say we have a very particular target that is Lucrative Africa, that we're focusing on in everything that we do. So how we break it down is, I'll say, if you are a young African creative who want to start a creative business, or you already have one, or if you are a young African creative who currently work a corporate job like most of us, and you're looking to like change direction a little bit and start creative entrepreneuring, either part time or full time. And the third category would be young African creatives who are looking to enter the gig economy as freelancers. Everything we're doing here, or everything that we hope to do here, is so that we can inform your journey in whatever valuable way we uncover that we can. I'll also say that a key part of our goal here at Lucrative Africa would be, we want to re-echo to creative people on the continent specifically, that it doesn't have to be a this or that affair, right? A this or that kind of thing. Because I think for so long, that is something we've been sold. Currently, we're at a time where we're witnessing lots of creative successes. So it's not until that lots of people are even buying into, like maybe people would before in the past. But I know that it's still something that is there, and it's still something that holds lots of us back where it comes to investing into our art or our craftsmanship, right? We feel we're not very confident because it always just looks like there are these few lucky people who might come up on top, who might just give their all to their art and come up as winners. And we don't know if we're one of those lucky people, so we're very skeptical of it. Yeah, so I guess we just want to remind people that it could be you, and success looks very different for different people. So not all of us are trying to be Rihanna. And yeah, I don't know. I hope I made some sense there. And I would say, I don't know, I'm very careful of saying what we're doing through Lucrative Africa as a reminder, as opposed to saying, oh, is this brand new thing we're doing, right? To say, to come and say, oh, we want to inform creative Africans that their talents have great value, that would be inaccurate, I think, and even unfair. Because I feel like majority of us already know the value in the work that we do or the talent that we have, right? And what we're lacking is the how to. Like when we first started Dami and me, we were writing articles and stuff, and we were researching, and we would find that most of the resources that we would find, they're either wired toward maybe different audiences. Even if it's a how to, like step by step, it's not very. Those weren't things that are very considerate of our context as Africans in the particular communities that we exist in, right? And aside from that, most of these how-tos weren't very thorough. They weren't very transparent, very specific, right? And I think those are the kinds of how-tos we're aiming to uncover here through the conversations that we have or through the articles that we write. We want to be very particular in everything that we share. So we're gonna have these people who would come and share their own stories. Like, this is how I turned from this doing this as a hobby into doing this for money, and these are the steps I took. Just being very honest conversations, as opposed to very. There's a phrase for that, a very overall type of thing where I just gave something that's not very, that doesn't lead people anywhere. And I'm just like, oh, I'm giving you a how to, but then it's very general. So at the end of the day, I realized that it doesn't help you much. But yeah, I think that is how I would explain it, what we're trying to do here. And I hope we can all do it together, to be honest.
I think even me, who is your co-host on this podcast, from what you said, I'm already inspired. I'm inspired to go and start now. Whatever it is I want to start, I should just go and do all of it. But yeah, I think that was a perfect addition to what I said, a perfect explanation of what we are trying to do here. And I think, just to kind of piggyback on what you mentioned, that we are not trying to do something completely new. I don't think. I think there's probably other resources you could find that are doing similar things to what we intend to do. But then we just want to also be, an addition in that space, another force that helps African creatives to, not necessarily realize their potential because they know their potential, but to just better utilize it, if I put it that way. And yeah, as Steely also mentioned, there's a lot of resources out there that talk about the business side of their work, but not necessarily a lot of them talk about it in an African context. And that's where we also want to be a force, or be a driving force. So yeah, that's a good idea of what's inspired this and what this is all going to be about. And I think now we can go a bit more deeper into what you can expect from the podcast episodes that we'll be releasing. So just as Tilly highlighted, also, we will be bringing on people who we believe are um, successful creative entrepreneurs to come share um, their processes, things that have helped them, their story, and just actionable insights that people who are listening to the podcast can actually put into practice, not just general, motivational stuff. Motivation is part of it. I'm sure if you hear some people's stories, you're definitely going to be motivated to you know, grab onto whatever you're doing and putting more energy into it. But it's not just motivation, but like when you're actually handling your business, what can you do to make things better, to make processes more efficient, to make more money, in summary, in general. That's the point, to make more money from your work. And we'll be bringing on a lot of African creatives from different African countries, because again, Africa it's a continent, it's not a country. So we need the representation from every country. So we'll be inviting artists from any African country who we believe are have insights that will be valuable to our audience, to come and share those stories. So yeah, I think that's again one of the things you should expect from the podcast. We're going to be having a lot of African creatives speaking, and also in terms of the frequency of our podcasts. So we're aiming to have new episodes being released bi-weekly, twice a month, every 2 weeks. Yeah. So you get the point. So we're aiming to have episodes released at that interval. And also you can also expect that some days you might have me hosting the episodes, and other days you might have Tilly hosting the episodes. So we will not be hosting them simultaneously. So the general
There
setting
might
will
be
be,
times when we
yeah,
are both in one episode together, but then most of the time we'll be very like maybe just Dami and a guest or me and a guest. It's just because of timing and
yeah. So the general setting will be that it will be either me and a guest, or Tilly and a guest, or sometimes, probably on more rare occasions, both of us and a guest or guests. But the constant here is a host and a guest. So that's what you should expect from this. And yeah, is there
Dami.
any other thing? Yeah.
Before we go for it, I like the aspect of representation you spoke about, right? Where you say we're going to be having like different people from different African countries because Africa is very big. I think another thing I'm very excited about is the representation of different kind of artists and different kind of creatives on the podcast, right? Because I don't know, there are just some art or some creative ventures, or I don't know how to say it, that are more like that I don't know that have more open spaces or more transparent spaces compared to others, right? And the fact that we're going to have all these different people, because I'm a writer, for example, and even though I feel like I've seen lots of podcasts on lots of platforms where maybe video creators, photographers, just visual artists are like sharing and engaging and stuff, right? That looks very different for writers. Maybe there are even more open spaces for musicians because I don't know those kinds of I don't know some kind of arts and I don't know creative things are just more like easier to pull people in than others. So, for example, maybe writers would find it more difficult to tap into different spaces or just uncover different truths and facts, right? And how to's. So I think that's one thing I'm very excited about, that we're going to be very diverse in who our audience are, who our guests are, I mean. And we're just seeking to serve different people in different creative or artistic areas. I think that for me is just great. I'm looking forward to that so much.
Yes, and thanks so much for adding that. I actually forgot to mention that, but yes, the diversity is not just in the in terms of countries, or now where the artists will be from or the guests will be from, but also the kind of crafts they practice. So we'll have people who are performing artists, who are visual artists, designers. We want to not just serve one particular kind of artist, because again, every artist, there are always people within each niche that are trying to
Yeah.
make a lucrative business out of their craft, and they need those resources as well, so they will also benefit from that. So yeah, thanks for adding that, Tilly. I forgot to mention that. Okay, and then is there anything else that we haven't brought up about the podcast?
Um, I think okay, not about a podcast. I think we covered everything because we said the frequency and where can they find the podcast? I think that's
Oh
something.
yeah, yeah. So okay. First of all, that also actually leads me to some other things. So Lucrative Africa is, at least we are starting out with a podcast, but then we don't intend for it to just be a podcast because there's so many ways that we can serve our audience and we can educate people. So we also will have other forms of resources. So we already have some written resources on our website, which is lucrativeafrica.com. Yeah, very easy to remember. lucrativeafrica.com. And we have our podcast there. So there's a page for that. And we also have some written resources. And over time, we are going to have some more resources there. So, just be on the lookout. But yeah, you can find the podcast on, any of your favorite podcast platforms, on Spotify, on Apple Music, or any other platform, or on Anchor, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And then we'll also be posting them on YouTube as well. So, sometimes you might want to actually watch and not just listen. So you can also find the episodes on YouTube as well. So on and you can follow us on social media at Lucrative Africa on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. If you use LinkedIn, you can also follow us on LinkedIn
We're
as well.
also
And
on Twitter
maybe
as well, right?
and Twitter, yes, and Twitter or
X
X, whichever
now
you call
X.
it,
Nobody
whichever
calls
you
it
call it.
X.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
X on
and
Twitter.
so in addition to that, we have we have a page. We have a short form on our website where we take suggestions on who our guests should be and what topics you want to have us talk about. I don't know the exact link to that. I mean, do you know to say?
Okay, I think it's on the contact page on our website. So when you visit, you're just going to see um the home page, the about page, which is where you can learn more about us. And also you see the podcast page, you see the other resources page, and then you see the contact page. So the contact page is where you can um, send us people you like, suggestions of people you might want us to feature on the podcast, who you feel like will be valuable to our audience. And yeah, we are always open to receiving those. So please send them in as much as possible. But then again, if you also want to reach out to us on social media platforms, we are also available there. So you can, share us a profile, or send us a DM. You can also share us feedback there as well. So we're available on all of these platforms. So yeah, and the resources, as soon as we have more resources, you also find them on the resources page on our website as well. So yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Anything
Yeah, I
else?
think that covers everything.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, as we mentioned, if you want to find us individually as well, you can follow our pages on Instagram. You can subscribe to Tilly's newsletter. You can also reach out to her on the Tea with Tea, not tea at tea, the tea with tea, the tea with tea. And you can reach out to me on Instagram as well. And you'll find like links to some of our contact details on the about page of
Yeah.
our website as well. So you can learn a bit more about us individually. But yeah, this podcast is not about us, it's about you who is listening. So it's about you,
Always.
and it's about you and educating people. But because this is an intro episode, we just wanted to also tell you a bit about who we are. So yeah, is there anything else we haven't covered?
We've covered everything, Dummy.
Everything. Well, all right then. So I guess the next time you're going to see us, we'll probably not be speaking to each other. We'll be speaking to some other creatives, and
Yeah.
sharing
Some
some
cool
insight here
people.
and there. Exactly. So yeah, stay tuned. Subscribe now on whatever platform you're listening to. If you're on YouTube and you're hearing this, please subscribe to our channel. If you're on Spotify, please subscribe and turn on post notifications. I can't believe I am one of the people saying this. I've never said this before. But turn on
I
post
know.
notification.
First
Turn up
time for
notifications.
everything.
Exactly. So yeah, just stay tuned because we have a lot in store for you, and I'm sure you will you're going to learn a lot. And please also, share it to people that you feel like might also find it beneficial. We're always down for sharing the knowledge you learn. So yeah, I think that's about it. And yeah, well, if since there's nothing else to say, guys, thank you for listening to our intro episode.
Thank you for
Welcome again.
listening.
Mhm. Welcome to Lucrative Africa. I'm Dami and
I'm Tealee.
Tealee, and yeah, you'll be hearing us a lot more often. So see you on our next episode. Bye.
Bye.